We're talking about the Friends reunion special today on Retro Serial. Hey everyone, welcome to Retro Serial. I'm your host DNC, and today we are talking about the Friends reunion. But before we talk about what we're going to talk about, I need to talk about what we're going to need to talk about and introduce a couple things. First of all, you will notice that I am wearing a Good Stuff t-shirt. Thank you, Dave, from the Good Stuff. Go on over to his channel, the Dave Sundstrom channel, where he talks about stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. And like his channel and subscribe to his channel and like his videos. Also, while you're thinking about liking, you're thinking about subscribing, do me the honor of hitting that thumbs up button here, hitting that subscribe button, and hitting that share button. Those things are free for you to do, and they mean a whole lot for me here on the channel. If you want to go that one extra step, you can always click that link below to the Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can donate some of your hard-earned cash to see all of my wildest YouTube dreams come true. And by the way, I just opened a Patreon page. It's Retro Serial, Patreon.com/Retro Serial. I don't have a link for that quite yet, and I'm still building that up, but people who are more familiar with Patreon rather than Buy Me a Coffee, whatever you want to do, if you want to donate there, it would mean the world to me. I am a big Friends fan, and this is not going to be like 10 things you didn't know about Friends or 5. This is just going to be me telling you about my experience watching this reunion show. I am a huge Friends fan. Okay, in the 90s, it was probably my favorite comedy. Might have been my favorite show of all time in the 90s, but it was certainly my favorite comedy. And of course, during each decade of my growing up years, there are certain comedies, there are certain TV shows that kind of stick out more than others, or come to the top more than others, or are featured in my brain more than others. In the 80s, it was certainly Family Ties. In the 90s, it was, at least out of the comedies, I'm saying, in the 90s, it was Friends for sure. And in the 2000s, it was The Office. And I don't really have one for the 70s, sorry, but the 70s I was really still pretty young in the 70s. But in what I remember from the 70s would have to have been, although it crossed over into the 80s, would be things like Different Strokes and Three's Company. And you can tell I'm a huge Friends fan because I've got the complete DVD set right here. Check that out. Those are actually DVDs, all 10 seasons. This is not even Blu-ray. This is DVD, right? And recently been used. I hadn't got the HBO subscription to watch the Friends reunion until actually the Friends reunion came out. So I've been actually watching DVDs. So I am a big fan of the cast. So let's talk about the reunion. Let's talk about, look, I'm going to tell you some things I liked about it, some things I didn't like about it. What was I expecting? What happened? What didn't happen? And it's really difficult to know where to begin. First of all, I think a good place to begin is I was skeptical about it. I was reserved about it. I was worried about it. And the reason why is back when they started talking about this reunion, for some reason in my head, I was under the impression that they were going to do more episodes. And so I was just like kind of excited, but kind of leery because it can go either way. But I wanted to see new episodes because, of course, I wanted to catch up with all these characters. And I have my own thoughts about where they would be today. You know, would certain people still be together? Wouldn't they be together? And I could totally picture Friends episodes today. Whether or not the writers of the show, you know, in this universe, in this paradoxical universe, would have my same ideas, I don't know. But the reason why I was skeptical is because as it got closer, I started realizing, oh, this is a reunion. I should have known this isn't going to be new episodes. They're just going to sit in the room and talk about it. And so I kind of entered into it thinking that it wasn't going to be that good. I kind of entered thinking I'm going to be a little bit disappointed, but I was anything but disappointed. I was anything but disappointed. If you're a Friends fan, you're going to love this reunion. And it was great to hear them talk about it. Now, how the reunion was set up was they basically recreated 3 sets. They recreated Monica's living room, and then they recreated Central Perk, and then they recreated the fountain scene out front. And the interviews and dialogues and talking about Friends among these 6 people is cut between these 3 scenes. So there's 3 scenes, and there's some interview, and there's some dialogue, and there's some just chatting that they chat about their experiences and their favorite episodes and what they remember and what they don't remember happens in between those 3 scenes. And the reason why it was so powerful is it opens up with that last scene of Friends, the very last one where they're leaving the apartment, and Chandler makes that joke about where they're going to get some coffee. And as soon as that happened, all the emotion of that scene kind of hit me again, because it was an emotional scene, because obviously over 10 seasons, you become emotionally attached to these characters, even though they're just characters, man. But this is why we like nostalgia. This is why we like television shows. It's because it draws us into that world, and we are just so enamored and so swept up in their reality that it affects us in our reality. So the show opens up with that last scene, and then David Schwimmer walks in, and he sees Monica's apartment, and you can tell that the emotion on his face is genuine and real, as he is just taken aback by what he sees in this apartment, by seeing it all put together again. And I was enveloped in that. That affected me. As soon as the scene opened up, I was just involved, man. I was involved. And from that point on, I knew I wasn't going to be disappointed. As I said, they brought up their favorite episodes. They had questions and answers, and they had something that they did that I thought was great, and that was they reread certain scenes, certain dialogues, and they interspersed those dialogues and those scenes with the actual scenes from the beginning as they were rereading them around the table. And one of my favorite scenes that they were rereading around the table was Ross and Rachel's first kiss. That was one of the best ones. And then they actually showed that end scene where Rachel decides to stay instead of leaving for Paris. And look, there are certain things that make me cry, and that was one of them. They had some awesome guest stars there. They had the girl who plays Janet. They had the people who played Monica and Ross's parents, Elliot Gould, and I'm sorry I forgot the name of the actress. And the one person who wasn't able to make it, but he made it by video, and I'm glad he at least made it by video, because he certainly deserved to be on the show, and that was Gunther. Okay, the actor, not him, but he deserved, he is such a part of Friends that, in my opinion, he is just as much of the cast as most anybody else is. If there was one person on the show that I wish would have been there, it was Paul Rudd. Because even though Paul Rudd kind of comes at the end of the series, he still very much fits in. When Phoebe gets married and starts dating Mike, he seems like somebody who could fit right into what's going on. He doesn't seem like somebody who's going to clash with them or be a friend who draws Phoebe away from this other group of friends. So I wish he would have been there. A couple things that were down points for me. There was a version of Smelly Cat that they did, and Lisa Kudrow starts off singing it, and she does great, and I think it's Lady Gaga. Excuse me, I don't know, and it's something I should have looked up before I started this, but I didn't. And she does it her Lady Gaga way, and I was just like, look, I'm not trying to be negative here, but I'm like, just let Phoebe sing it, or let Lisa Kudrow sing it. And I thought if they would have just had her sing that song, because it's such an iconic song and it's such part of that, it would have been great. But I think that Lady Gaga ruined it with her over-the-top vibrato, and I could be even wrong about who it was. I actually think it was her, but I'm not 100% sure. Loved Smelly Cat. I love the way Lisa Kudrow sings it. I think it's raw, and it's unrefined, and it's anything but perfect, and that's what makes it so great. And when you have these other people coming in and singing it, I'm like, forget about it. They had a Q&A there about the show that Ross ran, and that was really funny. And one of the questions that they asked was, what's Chandler do for a living? And the answer really is, nobody knows. We really don't know. I thought he was some type of analyst or something like that he studied analytics for something, but the truth is it's never really spelled out. So the trivia that they played on it was a lot of fun. I can't remember if I mentioned everybody that they had on the show. Oh, Reese Witherspoon was there. Let's see. I don't really remember too many other people who showed up. They did have some guests that weren't on the show. They had Cindy Crawford modeling. They had one part of the show where they talked about the outfits, and that was a lot of fun. And they had Cindy Crawford modeling, and then they had that one guy who everybody loves. I forgot his name. I'll insert it here. I'll put it on the bottom of the screen. Justin Bieber, that's who it was. They had him on there. That was funny. And then they had Matt LeBlanc actually wearing all of Chandler's clothes. They recreated that scene, and he comes out and walks on the runway, and that was a lot of fun. The one cast member who I wish would have said more was Matthew Perry. He's still got that little bit of a speech impediment, and there was just an ablaze on YouTube and on social media as to why he didn't talk too much and his little bit of a speech impediment. And of course, the idea is that he has this speech impediment and he's a little bit more reserved because this is an ongoing effect of his substance abuse. But somebody came out somewhere, I saw it on a video, and said, no, he had dental surgery that day. And it was emergency dental surgery, and so he wasn't able to talk as well as he did. But I don't know. I don't know if that's just kind of a cover-up, and he doesn't want people to know that he has this kind of almost permanent speech disability because of his substance abuse. But who knows? I don't know. I was glad he's there. And he is the person I actually most identify with. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it was just them getting together and sitting around and talking and taking audience questions over these different 3 scenes and trivia and special guests and all that stuff. I highly recommend that you watch it. It was a great time. So at the very end here, I want to talk about the character out of Friends that I most identify with, and then I'm going to ask you to talk below about which friend you most identify with. So that's really what I want to hear. So for me, the character who I most identify with is a little bit of a split. It's mostly Chandler. But I also resonate a lot with Joey, and it really just depends. What's also interesting is I resonate with Ross a little bit. I don't resonate with any of the girls. Maybe Phoebe a little bit. Maybe Rachel to a degree because, I do like to shop. For a boy, I like to shop quite a bit for clothes. Yes, it's true. And I'm really into my appearance. So It's just one of those things. But as far as if you just hung out with me, you would definitely think that I am more like Chandler. But I'm also like Joey with food. And I'm also, but that's me. That's who I'm most like. I'm a cut up. I'm a little bit of a crazy guy. I'm a funny guy. That's what I do. A bit of a comedian. But which one are you most like? So let me know in the comments section below which Friends character you're most like. And I just want to say thank you for watching this. Go out and watch the reunion. What else? Oh, yeah. Once again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button. Help me get the word out about this channel based on nostalgia. And what else? Oh, yeah. Buy me a coffee, Patreon/Retro Cereal. And we will see you again. Stay retro, everyone.